Hi, this is Father Jeremiah of Grace Anglican Church here in Gastonia, North Carolina, and today I want to answer a question that my son asked me about the way that we worship here at Grace Anglican. He asked me, why do we bow toward the cross during worship? It's something that not many other Protestants do, but it's something that we at Grace Anglican do. So, bowing toward the cross is not something that is required of us in our worship. Nowhere in the Book of Common Prayer or in the canons and the bylaws of the Anglican Church in North America or any Anglican group that I know of is it said that you are required to bow toward the cross at certain times during worship. Now, back in the 1600s, there was one canon, a law on the books within the Church of England that commended the practice as one felt led to do it. And so it's something that has existed off and on since at least the mid-1600s within the Anglican Church. Now, bowing toward the cross is not an act required of anyone. It is an act done out of a devotional love for Jesus. Out of love for Christ, some will bow toward the cross because the cross represents something for them. That cross represents the work of Christ on our behalf. And so, we bow toward it, acknowledging that without Christ, we can't be saved. Without Christ, there is no hope for our salvation, that He died upon that cross for our sins. And so we'll bow out of honor, out of respect and reverence for the work of Christ. And that's really the primary reason that I have been able to discover in my research for why we do it, that it's out of reverence for what Jesus has done on our behalf. I would make a connection to one placing their hand over their heart when saying the Pledge of Allegiance, or when we salute the flag out of recognition for what the flag represents. We aren't honoring the flag per se directly, but we are looking at that flag as a representation of what our nation and our country stands for. And so we show respect and honor toward the flag because it represents our country. And we love our country. We care about our country, and we want our country to live up to the ideals that our country was established toward. And so we show respect toward that flag in that regard in much the same way that many Anglicans show respect toward the cross by bowing toward it or nodding their heads toward it as it processes by at the beginning of worship, as it recesses back at the end of worship, but also in the midst of worship. Many will, as they approach the altar table and the cross, will bow toward it. And that's a perfectly acceptable thing within our Anglican tradition, to be able to bow toward the cross out of respect. There are many other pious acts that people sometimes do in other Anglican churches, but I was thinking that the bowing toward the cross is something that not many Christians have encountered, or they've always seen it in contexts that they were never really truly part of and therefore didn't understand it. And so my son, being raised within the Anglican church, asked that question because he does it. He's learned to do it from me and from others within our church. And so he wanted a brief explanation, and that's the best explanation there is, that it's out of reverence for the work of Jesus that we bow toward the cross.